Hi, my name is Dr. John Douillard, and today I want to talk about a disturbing topic, which is the rising rate of anxiety in our teenagers and adolescents. We're talking about between the years of 2007 and 2012, we're talking about a 20% rise. 1 in 3 adolescents have occasional anxiety, worry, and stress that's affecting their behavior, their schoolwork, and among other things. Now, a lot of us would say, oh, that's got to be screen time. The average adult, for example, is on a screen 9 hours a day. They check their phone 52 times a day. Kids probably do that way more than adults do, so it's got to be screen time. And it just might be, and I want to talk about maybe a possible underlying mechanism that nobody's talking about that may actually help to unravel this problem. But a lot of you say, well, it's got to be social media, the instant gratification, the likes, the dislikes, the aggressive nature and the meanness that takes place on social media. You can be rejected in a heartbeat, and it's very, very challenging to an adolescent mindset and their emotions, for sure. So we're not in any way, discounting that. In fact, I've written articles about that. But I want to talk about screen time for a second. And what happens with screen time, and I want you to follow me very carefully here, is screens use blue light. Blue light blocks the suprachiasmatic nuclei in your brain that allows your body to make its own melatonin. Melatonin is a molecule, not a hormone, but a molecule that connects us to the light-dark cycles. It tells us when nighttime's coming, and it tells us when winter's coming. It's really important. Every living creature, bugs, plant, microbe, you name it, has melatonin, because everybody on this planet needs to know when it's light and when it's dark, and get prepared for those dark times. So melatonin is a molecule, and it's a molecule that doesn't suppress the production of your own. It actually encourages the production of your own. So hold that thought for a minute. So when you watch a screen and you're up at night, you're an adolescent, and you're looking at your screen till 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night, and the sun's set at 5:30, not only are you not in bed with darkness, you're suppressing the melatonin production that should be taking place at that time. Your melatonin is like the nighttime janitor that comes in and washes windows, cleans floors, rebuilds, repairs, restores your DNA, restores your microbiome, and directly linked to supporting healthy neurotransmitters, hormones, and anxiety, occasional anxiety, and mood-related issues. So there's a direct link between screen time affecting your circadian clock, creating a circadian imbalance, which is linked to the ability for a teenage body to make the amount of melatonin it needs, which is linked to a lack of melatonin, and therefore an inability to support the neurotransmitter they need and support transmitters they need to support healthy mood, and support stable mood and deal with these certain situational anxiety related issues. So I want to talk to you. So I did some research, and I looked and I said, well, let's look and see what some of the symptoms that are associated with excessive screen time. And that includes things like behavioral problems, anxiety, hyperactivity, inattention, poor self-esteem, poor sense of well-being, psychosocial health is compromised, metabolic syndrome, which includes blood sugar, blood pressure, obesity, and cholesterol-related issues, poor cardiovascular health and fitness, poor cognitive development, and lower educational attainments, and of course, poor sleep. That poor sleep, right, we know is a circadian kind of a thing. That's all from screen time, okay? That's what happens when you're exposed to too much screen time. But let's take a look and see what happens when you have a circadian imbalance. Now, circadian medicine won the Nobel Prize in 2017 in physiology, so it's like a big deal. Your circadian clock is now a Nobel Prize winning, investigation. It's like really a big deal. And if you're out of whack with the rhythms of nature, and of course why I talk about this is because Ayurveda 101, in fact, we did a course with Yoga Journal called Ayurveda 101, which is yoga, breathing, meditation, eating in sync, all together with the natural cycles of nature. Living in sync and harmony with the natural cycles, which is circadian medicine, is the absolute first step in understanding Ayurvedic medicine. So it really is important when you look at Ayurveda and what the modern science is saying. So let's talk about what modern science is suggesting is associated with a circadian medicine imbalance. And I'm going to tell you up front, it's really similar to what the screen time imbalances are. So let's read them. They have to do with things like early aging. Early aging. I didn't tell you. I got to tell you, I got to go back for a second. I wrote an article recently on the new research on the damage of blue light. And they found that blue light from your screen can actually damage your retina, cause brain damage, and increase and accelerate the aging process. In other studies, it showed that this blue light can actually cause blood sugar-related issues, cholesterol issues, high blood pressure, obesity. That's all called metabolic syndrome. So that's all in the screen time symptoms, okay? The circadian medicine symptoms are aging, metabolic syndrome, cardiovascular dysfunction was also there, immune dysregulation, reproductive problems, mood disorders, and learning deficits. Pretty much the exact same thing. So when you look at the circadian medicine imbalances and screen time medicine issues, screen time related imbalances, you're looking at about the same stuff according to the science. So then I was like, well, a circadian medicine imbalance is clearly going to reflect a lack of melatonin. Screens, blue light, literally blocks the ability for you to make your own melatonin. So if a child has been watching their screen till 10 or 11, 12 o'clock at night, they're literally not making their melatonin. And they desperately need that because they're still developing. And melatonin is not just a hormone to get you to sleep. It's not even a sleep hormone. It's a hormone. It's not even a hormone. It's a molecule that it's a precursor to your hormones, to your glutathione for liver detoxification. It repairs, supports your microbiome. It supports mood, stability. And I dug into the research and found out that there is so much science relating melatonin to supporting healthy mood. Occasional anxiety, situational anxiety. They did a study with over 700 people, and many of them were children, going into surgery. And they gave them melatonin, and it was dramatically improved their mood and their situational anxiety. In fact, the researchers concluded that this is as effective as the standard treatment for pre-surgery anxiety, which is really important. So there is just no shortage of studies linking a lack of melatonin to the inability to support stable mood and handle stress. It's just all over PubMed when you go into the National Institutes of Health. It's just shockingly, well studied and well documented. In another study, they said there's a growing interest in melatonin as a new treatment approach for occasional anxiety. Recent animal studies have focused their effect on melatonin on chronic stress and occasional anxiety and found that melatonin displayed long-term mood support while addressing behavioral issues linked to worry and stress. This is exactly what our kids are experiencing. These kids, we call them digital natives. They've never not had a computer or a device in their hand. It's a raw experiment on them. And one of the things, and the study also showed it was associated with improving working memory, focus, and issues related to stress. Okay, so we need to reset our kids' circadian clock. And you can do that with, in fact, melatonin. So I want to share with you, and I've written in this article associated with the video, I've written exactly how this works. So we have a time-release melatonin, which is called melatonin HP. You give your child about 20 to 40 minutes before they go to bed. You give them that, or even yourself, if you're watching a lot of screen issues and you have some of these concerns, you take one of those before you go to bed for about a month. During that month period of time, you're going to really boost your melatonin. What's unique about this product is it's a time release for only 6 hours. Many of the time releases are 8 to 9 hours. You take it at bedtime and you're still, you can't get out of bed in the morning. You're over groggy, you feel like you're drugged. And that's some of the issues you get with the over-the-counter melatonin. So this is a shorter time span. So and getting your kids out of bed is like, right, no easy thing. So you don't want that for them. So you give them this melatonin for a month. During that period of time, you should see a significant, reduction in their occasional anxiety and their mood and their ability to start handling and cope with stress. It's a pretty cool thing. But remember I said a minute ago that melatonin is not a hormone, because a hormone means that if I take it, that hormone that I take is going to suppress my own production of that hormone. Well, melatonin doesn't work like that. Melatonin actually encourages the natural production of your own, which is why a lot of people who take melatonin for sleep, which is one reason to take it, it's not the only reason, because it's actually not, in my mind, a sleep agent. It's actually something to reset your circadian clock, which almost everybody has a disturbance in or a dysfunction in, right? So when you take melatonin, over time, you're going to start to have what you just took plus what you're encouraging your body to make, which is a really cool thing that your now body's making its own again. Because as we age, we produce less melatonin. So then what happens is you take it and all of a sudden you say, oh, it stops working. Because if you take too much melatonin, it can actually have somewhat of an opposite effect. It can make you groggy in the morning, it can make you not sleep so well at night. So you go, oh, this is no good. Or then you want to take more. This is America, right? If anything is a little bit as good, more has got to be better. So we just take more melatonin and it doesn't work and you stop taking it. That's almost like across the board what people say with melatonin. So what you're going to do here, as soon as it starts to not work after a month, then you take less. So we formulated a product called low-dose melatonin, which you take for the second 2 months of this whole protocol. And that is where 1 drop is 0.1 milligram. You can't buy 0.1 milligram in the health food store or the grocery store for melatonin. It's just too small. So what you do is you go from your time release, which is basically 5 milligrams spread out over the whole night, 1 milligram to start and then 4 for the rest of the night. And that will give that replenishment of the melatonin and do the repair process that needs to take place because of the screen time, lack of melatonin causing the circadian balance. And you do that for a month, and then you go to 30 drops of the low dose melatonin. And then as soon as that starts to not work, you drop it by 5. As soon as it starts to not stop working again, you drop it by 5. Drop it by 5 every time you take it. It feels a little better if I go from 30 to 25 to 20 to 15 to 10 to 0, and you're off of it. You get on, reset your circadian clock, and get off. Along the way, we got to put that orange night filter on our phone, not just at nighttime, but 24/7, because studies show that the blue light is not only damaging for while you're at night and affecting your circadian clock. The blue light during the day damages your retina, causes brain damage, and also accelerates the aging process. And I wrote an article about blue light damage very recently. This is very new science, and you got to know about that. So that orange filter, that nighttime filter, needs to be all the time. And if you're in front of a computer, you want to have some blue light filtering glasses, which are like either orange or yellow, but they now make them in clear. So you get some fashionable glasses and you wear them in front of your computer and you're in. So that's really important that we don't just stare at a computer all day and think we're just going to get away with it. It actually causes circadian medicine imbalances, affects your ability to do all the things that melatonin does. And I've written probably 20 articles on melatonin. Just go to lifespa.com/melatonin and all those articles will pop up. I did a podcast with a melatonin researcher, Dr. Paula Witt from Duquesne University. I highly recommend you watch that. The research that she's done is literally mind-boggling. And you need to understand our circadian clock. And you need to understand how our kids have gotten a circadian balance and how that's linked to an exploding amount of occasional anxiety, worry, and stress that our kids are experiencing. So please check out this article. I think this is one of the most important articles I've ever written. I think it's so critical. Our kids are like guinea pigs, and we don't have any recourse or any information about what to do that's natural, that can actually support the underlying mechanism that a lot of researchers now saying this could be the mechanism for this related and occasional anxiety. So check that out, please, at LifeSpa.com. I'm Dr. John Douillard. Thanks for listening. Do you like this video? Don't forget to subscribe and share.
This recording is brought to you by LifeSpa, where ancient Ayurvedic wisdom meets modern science. Get access to free health video newsletters by Dr. John at LifeSpa.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.